Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Devour. Devour is on Kickstarter right now, and it is a 3-in-1 game. In this game, you have 3 different major games in here. The first one's going to be Prey, then Forest Floor, and then Outfoxed. Prey is going to be a 2 to 4 player game that is fast and has 3 different modes: easy, standard, and advanced. And then you also have Forest Floor, which is going to be your solo version of this game. And the solo portion of it is really in depth and really good. But we're not going to go over this on this video. We're going to go over the Prey mode. But just briefly, there is also the Outfox. Now, the Outfox is a abstract strategy 2-player game where one player plays as the fox and the other player plays as the crow. The fox is trying to eat the rabbits while the crow is trying to protect them, and they're going to be shifting a landscape around the crow is going to be shifting the landscape around, and things are going to be happening. Cards are going to flip that have powers that do different things to help either the fox eat the rabbits or the crow protect the rabbits. So it's a really fun push and pull. The one that I'm most interested in is Prey. Prey is a really fun 2 to 4 player game where you are just trying to amass the most animals in the game. And let's go ahead down to the table here, and I'll give you a general idea how the game plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is Devour, and one of the things I wanted to go over real quick is something neat that they did with this game. Most of these type of games, people will make one deck of cards do like 5 or 6 games. I'm not sure I really like that, and that's not what they did here. What they did here is they put 3 games, literally 3 different games, in one box. There's a different set of cards for each of the game types that are in the game. So here's another set of cards here too. And this one here is for Outfoxed. And you got a little fox miniature that's separate, or well, standee. And here's some of the tokens. So you got really cool stuff. And then this is just Devour. So the 3 modes that you can play this game in, and I wanted to show that they all have different content for each of them, which I really like and appreciate, is Prey, which has an easy, standard, and advanced mode. Which we're going to go over Prey. Then we have Forest Floor, that is a single player solitaire version. And then we have Outfoxed, which is abstract strategy 2-player head-to-head game. Alright, so let's go ahead and start by going over Prey. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this really cool bag that Devour's in. And again, one thing I need to point out real quick is this is a prototype of the game. So any of the components in this game are subject to change through the Kickstarter or through the development process for fulfilling the Kickstarter. So anything can change in here, but this should give you a general, really good idea of what the game is and at least what it could come with. So we're going to go over the easy mode first. In the easy mode, you're not going to be using the Black Widow or the Mountain Lion. And there's a little really cool player aid for the game. And you're not going to be using these like little avatars here. So none of these will be used in the basic game. So you can set those aside. You will also not use the evasion die, but you will be using the Apex Predator standee. Okay. And you will be using everything else in this deck. The way this game is going to work is you are trying to get the most cards in your pile. Each player is going to be dealt 5 cards for the game to start. And whoever has the Apex player will play the card first. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to look at these cards and you're trying to eat your opponent's card. You don't know what your opponent's playing quite yet because you're the first player. But you do know a couple things. So these things we're going to ignore here. But basically we know what this animal is. So this is a number 6 and what it eats. So this will eat a 14 and 15. So what we're going to do is look at those and look at this number right down here. This number here tells me how many animals eats it. So 6 out of the entire deck will eat this white-tailed deer. So not a lot of stuff. Or we could look at this yellow bullhead catfish. And this one here is a number 8. And it eats all these things. This 12, 13, 15, and 17. So it eats a lot of stuff. And then also 16 things will eat it. If we look at this bullfrog, it eats just everything, just about. It's a 10. But 22 things eat this bullfrog. We have the black cape chickadee. 20 things eat it, and it eats all these. And then we have scat, which is going to be your base food here. It doesn't eat anything because it's scat, and it's a number 15. So 8 things in the game will eat it. So I'm going to say I'm going to play this white-tailed deer because most likely the opponent won't be able to eat it. So I'll put my hand down for a second, and my opponent's going to look at its cards. And it knows this white-tailed deer here is a number 6. So it's looking for something that eats a white-tailed deer. Okay, well, I have this eastern screech owl. It eats a lot of stuff. But it's not going to eat a number 6, as you can see down here. But only 8 things eat it. That's probably one. I got seeds and fruit, which is a base thing. I got a fly. So fly is going to eat a couple things, but 38 things eat the fly. So that's bad. I have scat too. And there's this largemouth bass, which eats so much stuff. But not a number 6, which is obvious. But, oh man. But 15 things eat this. I might want to play this largemouth bass or eastern screech owl. So what will end up happening is, obviously, neither of these guys are going to eat each other. But I'll play the largemouth bass for now. Neither of these guys are going to eat each other. So basically, now it comes back to this player. And this player is going to try to get something to eat that largemouth bass. And if they do, they'll get the entire stack. So this largemouth bass here, as you can see, is a number 8. And do I have anything that eats a number 8? And yes, I do. I have the bullfrog. So if I place this bullfrog down, I'm going to do our check. Does the bullfrog eat the largemouth bass? Yes, it does. Does the largemouth bass eat the bullfrog, which is a number 10? And it also does. Oh no, we have a tie. So there's 3 different outcomes you can have. One I showed you before where neither eat either. One is one eats the other and you win. The other one is if you have a tie. However, if you have a tie, whoever has the apex predator at the time wins. So the bullfrog will eat that. And it will go into my discard pile. Play will pass. This will go to the other player. And then we'll draw up to our 5 cards. We will continue this fight until the deck runs out. That is basically, in a nutshell, what easy mode is. After that, that's what you're going to teach the game. And this game is great for younger kids, if you're teaching younger kids how to play the game, or also just an introduction to how to play Devour. In the next mode, we're going to put some cards back in. We're going to put back in the Mountain Lion and the Black Widow. So these guys both have different things called, one's called Hunted and the other one has Venomous Bite. So what they're going to do for these is Venomous Bite is going to immediately, when you do this, you're going to immediately place this card in another animal and another animal card from your hand into the opponent's feed pile and then replenish your hand. So basically this is a way of getting rid of this card and some other card you don't really want and put it into your opponent's feed pile, which is not great, but it lets you draw back up and maybe get something better. This guy is the reverse, where I get to take this and another card in my hand and put it into my feed pile. And that is even better, and then I replenish my hand. So both of these are pretty cool little things that get popped into here. I'm checking to see. One of the things that you do remove from here is events. I'm seeing if I accidentally, yeah, I did accidentally shuffle them out, so I'll get them out. That's going to be in the advanced mode. The other thing that happens in this one is you add back in the evasion die. And this evasion die, the way that's going to work is, let's say you see these symbols on the top. So there's going to be 3 different symbols. There's going to be a bird symbol, flying symbol. There's going to be this fast symbol here, and there's going to be these shell symbols. So basically what's going to happen is if I get eaten, so let's say something eats this chickadee, and it doesn't have a symbol, so it eats this chickadee, and I then will have to roll the evasion die if I want to try to escape, and I'm trying to roll the bird. If I roll the bird, then mine escapes. I get to put my animal in my feed pile, and the other player has to put it back, their animal back in their hand. I'll then replenish up, and then we'll go into the next round. So escaping is advantageous to the person that actually succeeds. Now this one here is even better because I have 2 different symbols I can get. I can get the rabbit or the shell on here, and those would both evade. Now, if this bird was going to eat this chipmunk and I didn't have these shells, I wouldn't be able to try to evade because they wash out. However, shells here will always have a chance to evade. And that, in a really, really quick nutshell, is basically how evasion works and the 2 new cards that you add in to the deck. The other cool thing that you get to do in this mode is once per round, both players get to check to see if they have like one of these base cards. Like here's vegetation, and vegetation's a 26. So 26 animals eat it, but I'm sorry, vegetation's a 15. And you go look through your hand and see if anything eats it. Before everyone gets started, you can pair these up and put them in your feed pile and then draw your hand back up. So basically it's a really cool way of also putting more cards into your feed pile to give you more points, because whoever has the largest feed pile at the end of the game wins. And also maybe getting rid of some of the animals that aren't apex predators or closer up the food chain. So you have a better chance of winning in the combat. Finally, you could go into advanced mode. Advanced mode has these really cool events that it adds in. You have fog, which will do obscure. Immediately place this card face up for all players to see. This round, all players shuffle their cards in their hands and continue to play the round, play random cards from their hand instead of cards that they choose. So that's pretty cool. You also have leaves, you have snow, you have lightning storm, and I think there's a hurricane too. I don't know where it went, but yeah. So you have all these events that come in, and they'll do different cool things when they flip out. So that is in advance. Also, you can play with these avatars here. You could play as like the black vulture, raccoon, groundhog, coyote, and they all have different cool asymmetric abilities, and that's going to be in advanced mode. So there is a lot of stuff that comes with Prey. So even with this deck, you have 3 different modes. I'd almost say that you could do 3 different age levels too for it. If you're playing with kids, you can jump into easy mode Devour, and once they really, really get that, you can go into standard. Once they really, really get that, you can go into advanced and have a lot of replayability in this game. So let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll go ahead and give you my final thoughts on Devour. Now again, to remind you, this is a prototype game, so everything's subject to change either through the Kickstarter or during the development process. But with that, I will say I really like the art for this game. The art is very dynamic and very bright, which is really important, especially if your target audience is going to be younger children, and getting them into animals and understanding like the food chain and all that fun stuff. So I really like that. It's really good art. I really like how the 3 different games are well thought out. They're not just one game that you can play 3 different ways. They are different decks for the different things and different rules for each one, and so they give like a completely different feel between Forest Floor and say Prey, or Prey and Outfoxed. So they're really unique separate games, and they're literally just 3 different games with different components in this box. Prey itself has so much to it. The easy mode is great for getting people to learn the game, to get started, and add the other things as you go. Easy mode is also great for playing with younger kids because it's simpler. it's straightforward and they can understand it. And then once they get really good at the game, then you can go to standard mode and add in the evasion die and add in the food chain port where, wow, I keep messing it up, but the part where you get to take your basic food and pair it up with an animal before it starts and, you know, build up your hand. And just the standard mode in general is just faster paced. And then when they get past that, you can go in the advanced mode and use those little avatar cards, which is really of the animals, and have them be specific animals as they play. So really, really, really great game. Really a lot of things in this game that I really, really love. Like I said, Prey is my favorite, but I love I love the fast-paced nature, and I love you know, card-based style games. So that's my thoughts on Devour. Like I said, it's on Kickstarter now. Definitely go check it out. They have their rules available on there that you can download and read to see what I'm talking about on each of those different modes and how much work they put into each one. Really, I highly recommend going and checking out their Kickstarter. But that's my thoughts on Devour. Thank you for watching.